Johnny Manziel to the goal line.
Watching Johnny Manziel more because he took a hard shot to the head.
Next up is number 16, Antonio Pipkin.
Lights, cameras, I'm ready for showtime. I pimp to these hoes and not a pimp on my own mind. Instagram that.
Go the other way. Jump. Walker's got it. And he'll pull it over first down with a lunge. Vintage stop for number 13.
It's a better Saturday night in Edmonton. The Eskimos back home after a tough loss in Vancouver 9 days ago. Trying to get back into the win column against a team that needs a victory a whole lot more than them. The Montreal Alouettes are in town with yet another starting quarterback coming up on TSN. 3 weeks ago in Montreal, Mike Riley had his best game of the season. Passed for 415 yards, 4 touchdowns, scored another on the run, and a 21-point win over the Owls. But he was cooled off by the Lions last week. His counterpart, with Johnny Manziel out, is Antonio Pipkin of Tiffin University, making his CFL debut as the 5th starting QB Montreal's used this season. And pleased to say that the air quality has improved in northern Alberta. There was a concern that they wouldn't be able to play this game tonight because of the forest fires in BC, but a cool front has moved in and the skies have cleared enough to play this one on what's looking like a nice night at Edmonton and Commonwealth Stadium. Part 2 of the Saturday doubleheader. Welcome to it. Rod Smith back with David Sanchez, Jim Barker, and Milt Stiegel is going to enlighten us about Antonio Pipkin. The university anyway. Where is Tiffin University?
In that great state of Ohio, baby.
There you go. You know the state very well. Perfect storm here for the Alouettes, still looking for another win against an Eskimo team that must be pretty emotional after that loss to the Lions.
Mike Riley, and they're going to try to come out and just pounce all over these Montreal Alouettes. You see the way they lost that game last week against BC, the second half. What do they have, 5 points? 5 first downs. They're going to try to have 50 points in the first quarter of the day. They have to get it going early. You can't allow a team like Montreal to think they can play with them.
Well, Montreal has proven that defensively they've got some problems. So it's a good team for Edmonton to come back against. Antonio Pipkin, who knows what we're going to get?
Who?
Hey,
Learn the name.
It is a 3-touchdown favorite. Edmonton is at home. Quarterback that's been there for a week. But this is pro football. It's not like basketball where you can shoot some jump shots, or baseball, eat a few seeds. You don't come to play basketball. You don't come to play in a football game, a pro football game, more than your feelings are going to get hurt.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, the Alouettes have been getting hurt a lot. I mean, on the field, just from the scoreboard, a closer game against Ottawa. Johnny Manziel looked like he was starting to get the game, and then he's in concussion protocol, so he won't play. It is Antonio Pipkin against Mike Riley and the Edmonton Eskimos with the kickoff coming up here on TSN.
The smoke, fires from BC covering most of Western Canada.
Johnny Manziel on concussion protocol. He is not playing. Antonio Pipkin will get the start.
You go from sitting at home on the couch and working out to back in the environment you love to be in.
The Nissan Mike.
Leo Magnan of Edmonton. I hope I got that right, Leo. You could win groceries for a year if a kickoff's returned for a touchdown in this game, thanks to Safeway Sobeys $1 Million touchdown to win promotion. And if it happens a second time in this game, you know what else you could win? $1 million. Good luck, Leo. Off to Edmonton now for the Eskimos and Alouettes. Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, Rod. City of Edmonton's been engulfed in smoke this week from those forest fires in BC. It did put tonight's game in jeopardy, but by midday, the air quality level improved enough. We got the all clear to go tonight. Alouettes, Eskimos at the Brick Field at Commonwealth.
No Johnny Manziel tonight. He's currently going through concussion protocol. So the Owls start the 5th different quarterback this year and give the ball to Antonio Pipkin from Tiffin University. 2 weeks ago, Pipkin was in Indiana working out and got the call. You've got to believe that Kwaku Boateng for Edmonton is looking forward to adding to his sack total with the young quarterback and a struggling team.
Jason Moss's Eskimos had a 3-game win streak snapped in BC last week. Victory tonight can move them into sole possession of second place in the West. Mike Sherman's Alouettes have lost 5 straight, including a 44-23 lost to Edmonton in late July. They've been beaten in 18 of their last 19. And the Alouettes have lost 9 consecutive against the Eskimos. But suits, the East has beat the West in 2 straight in Week 10. Can the trend continue here tonight? Jamil Smith's got it. Alouettes won the toss, deferred, and the Eskimos get the football, and they'll start just short of the 25-yard line. Led by Mike Riley, who Mike Sherman told us yesterday is the best quarterback he has seen in the Canadian Football League so far.
60 touchdown passes for Mike Riley. He leads the league in passing yards, touchdowns, and interceptions, and big plays down the field. The 20-plus throws, he's number 1 in that category as well.
Good to see that air quality number at 3. It was over 10 earlier today, and they said that levels beyond 7 would make this game unplayable tonight. There's an early catch by Duke Williams, as we said, the green and gold offense.
No C.J. Gable tonight. He's injured 1 game, and it'll be Shaq Cooper, the tailback, in the backfield behind Mike Riley, and Justin Sorensen anchors a massive offensive line in front of number 13.
3 of the top 7 receivers in the league, including Duke Williams at number 1. It's 2nd and 5. Riley steps out of the pocket, and he'll flip it out. And a catch made by Bryant Mitchell, who makes it 4 internationals in that receiving core for the game tonight.
No John Bowman in the lineup defensively for Montreal tonight. Montreal McMillan will start for him. Go back to the linebacking core. Real good season for Chris Aki out of Wilfrid Laurier. 48 defensive plays for him. And Tommy Campbell questioned as to whether or not he'd start on that corner. He is out there and dressed tonight.
20-yard pickup for Mitchell, and here is Shaq Cooper without C.J. Gable. Shaq Cooper gets a start out of Fort Hayes, and a short gain on first down for the Eskimos, who are 5th in the league in running.
Yeah, chance and an opportunity here for Shaq Cooper. 2-time All-American at Fort Hayes, 3 years, almost 3,000 yards rushing in those 3 years as a starting tailback.
Got 3, 2nd and 7. Jamil Smith in as a receiver. Here comes some heat. Riley steps up. A nice catch is made by Smith. Going to be about a yard short of the first down. Into Alouette territory at the 51 or so. Has to get to the 50.
I was going to say, it's almost a full yard, looks like. Boy, Mike Riley, nice job of stepping up in the pocket there just to get rid of that one. It was starting to collapse around him, and he found the throwing lane to get it to Smith.
Eskimos perfect 3rd and short so far, 9 for 9. Need a full yard, and Shaq Cooper's got it. And a flag comes down at the end of the play as they unpile. Tommy Campbell in the middle of that.
After the play, unnecessary roughness, major foul. Montreal, number 23. 15 yards at the end of the play, automatic first down.
And it is Campbell, who you mentioned was scratched last week from the game in Ottawa.
Well, he retaliates here. Gets a little bump, but you're going to see Tommy Campbell make a bad decision. And your team that's struggling against a team that's angry, better than you, and you're on the road, you just can't afford to take those type of penalties.
Eskimos scored a opening drive touchdown in BC. Have a first down at the Alouette 34-yard line. And the short toss, Cooper cut down. Tommy Campbell steps up to make that play defensively.
Fort Hayes, by the way, Fort Hayes State's in Kansas, and pretty good college career for Shaq Cooper. Take a look at some of his numbers. Can catch the ball out of the backfield as well.
We're told the injury to Gable not that serious. A short week prior to the next game against Hamilton, and it's expected Gable will be back for that. 2nd and long. Flag down, play doesn't get off.
Procedure. Edmonton, number 67, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Right tackle Colin Kelly flinched ahead of the snap.
Well, the challenge for Montreal in that secondary, and again, you almost think they have to play mistake-free, is to try and handle the short side of the field. Mike Sherman's guys on defense have got to deal with Darrell Walker or Duke Williams. Duke Williams, as you mentioned, Chris, leads the league. Darrell Walker second coming into this week. They're a tough combo.
Trevor Harris lit them up for 487 passing yards last week, 587 net yards. They screen here to Cooper, and Cooper is brought down by Enoch Mwamba around the original line of scrimmage, so the Alouettes defense gets a stop, and the field goal unit will come on.
Yeah, we have 3 of the top 5 defensive playmakers in the Canadian Football League in this one. We mentioned Chris Aki off the talk. Mwamba is another. He's at number 3 coming into this week. And J.C. Sherritt for the Edmonton Eskimos, also in that top 5. So guys that fly around and make plays, you get a chance to look at them and watch them tonight.
John White 3 for 3 in the first meeting of the year against Montreal from 38 yards out. And the Eskimos break the ice. They've got a 3-point lead. So we'll see what Antonio Pipkin does in his Canadian Football League debut when we return. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League.
Well, as Milt Stegall told you, Antonio Pipkin from Tiffin University in Ohio gets his first start. A couple of reps last year at the end of the season, the final game of the year against Hamilton. And Montreal lost badly.
6th different starter on the season, 15th different Montreal starter since 2013, and he opens it up with a completion to an old Eskimo, Darius Bowman.
Still a fan favorite here, by the way. We saw him before the game shaking hands and talking to the fans, but yeah, Darius Bowman will play that wideout spot. There's the matchup we'll be watching here tonight. Tony Washington up against Kwaku Boateng, who leads the Eskimos in sacks with 5.
6 for Bowman, who was excited about the homecoming, as he called it. There's a completion, and 2 for 2 for Pipkin, and a connection to B.J. Cunningham to move the sticks.
Also has a couple tackles for losses. Boateng, Bazzi the other side, Armando Sewell in the middle. There's J.C. Sherritt. 45 defensive plays. That's 5th in the CFL coming into the week for Sherritt in the middle, and in his second start, Josh Woodman at safety. Already adding up some pretty good numbers. 5 tackles and a sack against Montreal when he played a couple weeks ago.
They've surrendered just over 20 points per game in the last half dozen. Good carry for Tyrell Sutton straight ahead. Sutton comes in 5th in the league in rushing and has a gain of 6.
So if you tuned in and thought this would be Johnny Manziel's 3rd start in the Canadian Football League, here's why it's not. A hit in that Ottawa game. And he was trying to cross the goal line. Missed Tuesday's practice, but that was for routine blood tests for something else, not related to concussion protocol. Wednesday missed practice for concussion protocol, not playing tonight, not dressed.
2nd and 5, the draw to Sutton is snuffed out, and a quick stop there from Kwaku Boateng. What a terrific second year he's enjoying in the CFL, and he did have a 3-sack game against the Alouettes in late July.
Wilfrid Laurier's all-time sack leader. Boateng.
Morris Beatty will look for the corner. Jamil Smith steps up on this, and after a 43-yard punt, flag comes down as Smith is run out by J.G. Poulin. And Mike Riley will lead the offense back out. He leads the Canadian Football League in passing yards and touchdown passes. And the Eskimos lead here 3-0.
Now, 3 games ago, these two teams met each other, and Mike Riley put on a show. 415 yards passing, 4 touchdowns in that one.
6th 400-yard game of his career, and I think A lot of the fantasy guys were thinking, based on that, he might be worth the big price tag this week. 5 for 5 on the opening drive, 39 yards. After a penalty, they'll start back at their 14. And Riley looking for Williams, got him up at the 35. And taken down by Joe Rankin, getting his second start on the corner, but it's the second catch of the night for the league leader, the Duke.
Yeah, whose turn is it going to be? Duke Williams, who's been a little bit quiet over the last couple of games and sort of handed over the spotlight to Darrell Walker, his teammate. Walker back-to-back 100-yard games. Williams under 50 in the last 2, but had 5 straight 100-yard games previous to that.
And lead of 25 yards over Walker in the receiving list. And he's got another here working against that young corner Rankin, who's going to get an extra call for the face mask on the takedown. So it looks like the Eskimos.
Face mask, Montreal, number 31. 15 at the end of the play, automatic first down.
Looks like the Eskimos have found a target they're going to go after in that Alouette defense.
Yeah, and two penalties in the 2 drives for Edmonton against their corners. Tommy Campbell, a bad decision in drive 1, and Joe Rankin grabbing the face mask there.
And just like that, from the Edmonton 14 to the Montreal 45. First down, Riley rolling, and now he'll take off with it and crash down around the 38. And a gain of 7 to 8 on the play.
And spot this one at the 37-yard line.
They'll mark him at the 37, so call it an 8-yard run for Riley, who needed 18 yards to pass Ricky Ray on the Eskimos' all-time rushing list. How the heck is he not ahead of Ricky Ray already?
Well, how is Ray on the rushing list?
But Ricky Ray, surprisingly, over 2,600 rushing yards in Edmonton.
Great to see Ricky Ray on the sideline in the earlier game today in Toronto. Did have the neck brace on. Looks like he's recovering nicely. That's great to see. And congratulations to the Argos on a big win.
They look like a different team with Macbeth, McLeod, Bethel, Thompson, and Anthony Coombs made a difference today as well.
2-0 for McLeod, Bethel, Thompson. So Antonio Pipkin, it can happen.
Here's Cooper, cuts it outside. Scatback's got room down inside the 15-yard line. There's the speed that Jason Moss warned us about yesterday. A guy that, if he got to the edge, could do some damage. He does there for 24.
Yeah, and for the defenders for Montreal, Chris, tough to know because they haven't played against them. So you just don't understand the speed till you get out there on the field, and then you think you have the right angle, like Chip Cox here. He doesn't, outruns that angle. Dozier tried to get him. He outran that angle. 24-yard gain for Shaq Cooper. Well, that was some acceleration there.
First down at the 11. Riley fakes, going to toss it to Cooper all by himself. It's an Eskimo touchdown! And Shaq Cooper has his first CFL major.
And does it in style. First of all, well blocked and executed play to get Shaq Cooper that wide open. Starts in the backfield, hits the flat. Riley delivers immediately, not a defender in sight, and in style for touchdown number 1.
Alex Dupuis went back to get the football for him as a souvenir. Sean White, the convert. And that will cap a 6-play, 96-yard touchdown drive. Cooper prominent en route, and he takes it home as the Eskimos expand the lead to double digits early. Well, Shaq Cooper has introduced himself to the Alouettes in the Canadian Football League early in this game. 3 carries, 29 yards, and now a third catch for 19 and a touchdown.
Yeah, you got to check the box with a new player and a new running back. It's can he run the ball? We've seen that in the great speed. Can he catch it out of the backfield? We saw that in the touchdown. Now we're going to keep watching him tonight, see how he does in blocking, pass protection, and running between the tackles, those tough yards.
And a short kick here, but the Alouettes get on the football and will have great field position. Stephen Adekolo wasn't taken by surprise, so Antonio Pipkin will have great field position for this second series.
You know, I like the call from Edmonton, though. You're playing against a struggling team, and you got up on them early, and this is a way to just really put the hammer to them early in the football game if you're successful with it. So I like the call and the attempt by Edmonton. Good on Montreal for being prepared and ready for it.
So they'll start on the Eskimos side of half at the Edmonton 53. 4 receivers wide side. Pressure coming. Pipkin stands in. Anybody open? Yeah, he's got an open man. And it's Eugene Lewis, wrestled down by Aaron Grimes, but a big play for the Alouettes as Pipkin stands in and finds an open target.
Well, I like his composure. Young guy standing in there. That pocket was collapsing. A little pressure coming from Malumba up the middle. And with guys flying around at his feet and his legs, he steps in and throws a strike to Eugene Lewis down the sideline here. Comes back to it. Good strong arm as he's being pulled down by Alex Bazzi.
40-yard connection. Lewis didn't have a catch last week against Ottawa. He's got a big one here to get the Alouettes in the red zone. 4 receivers near side. Pipkin looking near side. Looking for Cunningham and overthrows him by a stride.
Take a look at his numbers. Division II, Tiffin University. 23 starts, completion percentage just over 64 with the 58 touchdown passes. That's a good TD to interception ratio. Saw some tweets from BJ Cunningham, some quotes from Cunningham, one of the receivers in the lineup tonight, saying he really likes his deep ball, throws a real nice deep ball. We've seen a couple examples already.
Darius Bowman telling us yesterday, likes the young kid's swagger, got some confidence. First incompletion by either quarterback. Draw Sutton straight ahead, and Sutton down inside the 5-yard line, and he'll be close to the first down.
Boy, that's a good call down there. That's a real tendency breaker in 2nd and long. Young quarterback, good call to go with that draw play. Tyrell Sutton is trying to indicate to Mike Sherman just how close they are. A little more than he indicated, though, so it's about a yard.
Just like a running back would do, though.
Yeah.
He said maybe a 1.5 feet. It looks more like a full yard. And they've had trouble on short yardage. They're going to give it to Lewis around the edge. He's got a touchdown.
Let's go, boy.
So a response by Montreal. Lewis with the big catch. And on 3rd and 1, he takes it in.
Edmonton was scrambling to get their defense set. I mean, they weren't prepared for that gamble. It almost looked like they were trying to scramble out there. They did get sort of in their stance at the very last second, but not in time to rally to this play.
Got a block from Darius Bowman to get the edge.
Come on. Hey, no protection on one. You already know. Hey, talk that shit.
And that Alouette bench is alive. Morris Beatty adds the convert. He's 10 for 10 in that department. It's a 3-point game. 4 plays, 53 yards after an unsuccessful Eskimo short kick.
Let's go, boy.
Eugene Lewis with 1 touchdown receiving, now has 1 rushing as he gets the Alouettes on the board. 10-7 for the Edmonton Eskimos. We mentioned it's turned out to be a Pretty nice night for a football game with more on the changing conditions. Here's Farhan Lalji.
CC, good thing this wasn't Friday night football, because if it was, they would have moved the game in all likelihood to Saturday. The air quality index on Friday and also on Wednesday of this week was in the 10 area. You mentioned earlier that 7 is kind of that safety number. The club, the Eskimos, moved their practice inside on both days. The CFL, for its part, didn't really have a policy around the issue of air quality and smoke because they've never needed one. They consulted with the NFL and with the NCAA, who used 7 as that guideline. Also, as far as warm-ups were concerned, even tonight, they wound up having the indoor practice facility open for those players that wanted to have extra time in there. But if you were here over the course of the middle of the week, it was tough to see any blue in the sky, even though there weren't any clouds up there, but certainly feels a lot different down here at field level now.
Here's Jamil Smith on the return. Oh, he sidesteps one with a nifty shake and gets it up around the 30-yard line for the third series for Mike Riley, whose offense has put points on the board in each of the first 2. And Poulin and Smith that had something going early in this game.
Well, Mike Riley is doing what Mike Riley does. He's 8 for 8 to start this game, 86 yards and a touchdown. But maybe what's the surprise is the 4-play 53-yard touchdown drive by Antonio Pipkin, who's now 3 for 4 passing for 53 yards.
Riley came into this game 315 yards short of 25,000 for his career. Could be a milestone night. And he's got a connection here. Bryant Mitchell with another catch. And a big gainer for Mitchell down around the 40. He was amped up to get back in the lineup. And he's made an immediate impact with a 40-yard gain.
Well, he does a couple things real nice here. First of all, he comes back to the football. So he's the number 2 receiver here. He's going to run his route and come back to the football in between coverage. So if you're a young receiver watching this, he's got to keep coming back so you beat the coverage back towards the ball. Then he gets those yards after the catch.
40 yards. He's got 2 for 60 already, and that pass out of the reach of Mitchell will be the first incompletion of the night for Riley on his 10th toss.
You start to wonder what Montreal might have to do to slow the pace of Mike Riley here. He's got points in his first 2 drives. This is drive number 3, and he's knocking on the door to points. Might have to just send pressure and see if those corners can hang in there in the one-on-ones. Now that puts him one-on-one on Darrell Walker and Duke Williams and guys like Mitchell.
See, they're 2 for 4 on second down conversions, number 1 in the league in that department. Alouettes send heat, and Chip Cox gets home and takes Riley down around midfield.
There you go. I think you might as well. I mean, if you're the Montreal Alouettes, you're coming in a 1-7 team on the road against an angry Edmonton Eskimo team at home that lost to the Lions. Why not just cut them loose and see what happens? I mean, this is full blitz from Montreal. And saying, hey, second down, we're going to just get after you. And if you get it out of there and beat us, we'll live with it. But Chip Cox got there.
Didn't have a sack against the Eskimos at Percival Molson in late July. Get one here, the first of the season for the veteran Chip Cox. And so Hugh O'Neill to punt. Dominic Ellis and TJ Heath are back, and it is Ellis up around the 15 to the 17-yard line.
Make your getaway with intelligent all-wheel drive in the 2018 Nissan Qashqai.
Coach Suter would have preferred allow that to bounce into the end zone and give a rookie quarterback better field position.
Yeah, you put him back in the hole a little bit more, but you know, anytime it's around the 10-yard line or inside that, let it go, see if it goes in the end zone and get the field position. Didn't happen, so see if Antonio Pipkin can get him out of this one.
Final play, opening quarter. Flag comes down, so maybe not the final play. And a nice defensive play by guess who? J.C. Sherritt stuffing out the screen to William Stanback.
See what this flag is. It might continue the quarter for one more play. It's tough to screen against Edmonton because of J.C. Sherritt. Guys with good football IQs, playing middle linebacker, can sniff those screens out very well. Sherritt's one of the best in the business at it.
Procedure the call against Montreal, waiting for Jason Moss.
Procedure no end. Montreal, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
I'm surprised he took the penalty.
I am too. I think Al Bradbury, by his reaction, might have been a little surprised.
We'll take it back. 1st and 15. Now at the 12. There's no gain on the play to stand back. Would have been 2nd and 10. Wonder if it would have been a different decision with a veteran quarterback in there. And again, the Alouettes don't look like they're properly set.
Offside, Montreal, number 31. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
And this time stand back offside. And it's 5 yards further back. So 1st and 20 now.
All the little things add up, don't they, CC, when you don't make the right decision on a punt return?
13 men in the huddle. Montreal, half distance of goal, remains first down.
And then you get penalties, and it compounds, and then you get another penalty. Did he say 15? I think he said 15 men in the huddle. I'm not sure there were that many over.
They did send an extra guy out, and nobody came off, so...
All right, look at the difference in field position now for Montreal.
Maybe Jason Moss took that penalty thinking that they were near the edge of the cliff and they've just fallen off.
Just pushed them over.
They're in full retreat. 1st and 24 inside their 5. And they'll hand it off to Sutton, and that is the final play of the opening quarter. And it will be 2nd and a bunch when we return. Mike Riley out of the gate quickly, but the kid, Antonio Pipkin, generating a touchdown drive, and 3 points separate these two teams after 1 quarter of play. (10-7) Edmonton after 1 quarter. The stats would tell you it might be more.
Well, that was a nice drive by Antonio Pipkin in his first start for the Montreal Alouettes, but the fact of the matter is, when you look at the Eskimo column, Mike Riley's on pace for 500 yards passing. If Montreal can't get a stop here or there, they're in big trouble anyway, no matter how well Pipkin plays.
And that was an issue last week against Ottawa, although they kept the score down. Rich Stubler was saying his guys ran out of gas. They were on the field for 81 plays last week.
Yeah, that's too many. I mean, your boat average is around 40. A bad game, if you're out there too long, is 50 to 60. If you're up there around 80, boy, that's going to tire out a defense in a hurry.
He said maybe one other game in his long career as a defensive coordinator in the league, his defense was out for more plays than that. They had 5 takeaways in the game against Ottawa. They gave their team a chance, but ran out of gas in the 4th quarter. So we start the 2nd. Montreal 2nd and 17. And they're going to screen to Sutton. Gets 1 block. Sutton cuts it back and gets up to the 20-yard line, but he'll be well short of the first down.
No, pretty smart play calling, though, for Montreal to get out of this mess, because, you know, they were going backwards, 3 penalties in a row. Now they're inside the 5-yard line. That could have turned into giving up 2 and giving the ball back to Edmonton. They got enough room to punt. That's what those 2 plays did. Sutton gave them a little breathing room, and now they can kick it away.
Boris Petey averaging 44.4 yards a punt. Jamil Smith standing at the Edmonton 42. Not a great kick. See if he gets a decent bounce. It won't be returned. It bounces out the Eskimo bench at the 48 to 42-yard punt.
Well, 5 games for Mike Riley over 300 passing, 2 of those over 400 passing. So when you look coming in tonight, he had 2,622 yards. That projects to 5,900. If he gets up over 500 tonight, which is his pace for this one, that projection may get closer to that 6,000 mark. Again, a little success defensively for Montreal when they sent pressure. Can't do it every play, obviously, but
quickly in the hands of Duke Williams again. This time Chip Cox closes quickly, makes the tackle.
2nd and 4.
6-yard pickup. Mike Riley, by the way, with the touchdown pass in the opening quarter, goes by Tom Wilkinson on the all-time Eskimo list. Now 4th behind Ricky Ray, Warren Moon, and Tracy Ham. 2nd down. Riley stands in over the middle, and the catch is made. And Bryant Mitchell, that extra weapon, has been prominent so far.
you know, this is a post route by Mitchell, and the throw is precise because of the move and where the coverage is. TJ Heath is on the high shoulder of Bryant Mitchell on that post route. He faked the out, came into the middle, and because he was playing that type of defense, Riley put it right on him rather than put air under it.
Here's Cooper straight ahead. Wrestled down around the 29-yard line. The Eskimos have had a 100-yard receiver in 8 straight games, and Mitchell within 17 of extending that streak here.
It's one of the subtleties, Chris, of a top-notch quarterback. Mike Riley, you have an MOP quarterback who knows the difference, the subtleties of how much air to put on the ball affects your accuracy, where the coverage is, and throwing a receiver open into that open spot. Best in the business at it.
2nd and 6. Slant, Mitchell, first catch, first down. Ball popped loose, but Edmonton's on it. Looked like Mitchell was down by contact.
Boy, this is another example of just throw Darrell Walker into the post route here, and watch how he leads them away from that trail coverage and allows him to turn his shoulders. He's going to come right at you as if he's throwing the ball to you here. That ball's to the back shoulder a little bit and off on the accuracy. It brings the coverage from Montreal back into play, and it maybe becomes a knockdown. But he threw Walker right up the field so he could catch it in stride.
So Darrell Walker on the board. Cooper inside. Mwamba there. Ball popped loose. Looks like the Alouettes get it. Well, we mentioned 5 takeaways last week, and they have one here in the red zone to take the ball away. Woody Barron comes up with it. So the young running back in his CFL debut has a touchdown, but here Mwamba knocks it loose. Well, all turnovers under review, and it looks like Shaq Cooper might get a reprieve here. Down as the ball popped loose.
If your elbow as the ball carrier is on the ground, that constitutes down by contact. Watch the left elbow there down. The ball is not out yet. It doesn't have to be the knee. The only thing that you can put down the ball carrier and it's not down by contact is your hand. Cooper knew it right away. It looked like he was down before the ball came out.
So the Alouette offense on the field. Edmonton defense on, but we might have to change all that. Apparently, Al Bradbury being called over because his headset with a little malfunction. And now he's in communication with the command center.
They're just working on the communication to have problems on the field, so they're just getting the communication time here that this is probably going to be overturned. Crews, by the way, are down to 5 crews now. Started the season with 6. And then they do the evaluations, game in and game out of the officials, and then pare it down. The
Your baby daddy loves you. Take care of mommy, baby.
few officials will go back to college ball, keep working on their game. But now it's down to 5 officials. And by the way, that NFL, CFL exchange program that is going on is still going on. And Richie Miller was in Green Bay a couple nights ago. Rob Skaggs, for one of the CFL officials, is in Dallas tonight. Tom Valesi on Monday Night Football in Indianapolis. So NFL officials are obviously, they came up during the preseason here to Canada and are now back in the States. But they're having some sort of communication problem with the headset, so they're going to have to work it from the sideline.
After review, the ball carrier was down by contact at the 10-yard line. It's 2nd down, Edmonton.
So the offense will come back onto the field.
Saw the reaction there from Jason Moss, and thought it was interesting this week that Moss talked about the discipline issue that his football teams had this year, and said that, you know, he's going to take it upon himself to try and change his behavior a little bit on the sideline, that it starts with him to keep his composure in the heat of the battle. He's still going to be that emotional guy, but try and not go overboard, and that trickles down to the rest of his team. They can start to eliminate some of their penalties. Last in the league in that department.
So it goes as a 1-yard carry for Cooper, 2nd and 9. Riley looking to the end zone, wants Duke Williams, touchdown! Against Chip Cox.
Where's he going? Got some booster juice and he's good to go.
6th touchdown catch of the year for Duke Williams.
Well, he got away with one. Davis Sanchez right now back in the studio is going, come on now. He pushed off a little bit there. But I say let this go either way. You know, a DB's going to try and do a little bit of grab here and there, just a little hand fighting back and forth. You see Chip Cox react, but Duke Williams got away with a subtle little push off, created some separation. Touchdown Edmonton.
Over 800 yards receiving now for the league leader. See if Mike Sherman disagrees with you and wants to challenge that push off. Had a brief chat with one of the officials, but does not drop the challenge flag.
Objectionable conduct, Edmonton, after the play. That penalty of 10 yards will be applied on the kickoff.
Was that for going in and getting a booster juice? Excessive celebration.
Tunnel's off limits.
I guess so. I guess so. But I'm not sure I understand, because you can go up into the stands in some parks.
Stairs okay, tunnels no good.
Okay.
I think we need a full rule book on touchdown celebrations. Little tunnel vision from Duke Williams as he beats Chip Cox and expands the Eskimo lead. 6 plays, 61 yards, a touchdown for Duke Williams.
Back home, man. I told you I'm gonna hold the parents down, man. Stop playing.
Duke with 5 catches already, 6 combined in the previous 2 games.
A little hand fighting there, a little grab by Chip Cox. He tried to crowd him a little bit, little subtle push off the second one there, and he gets away with it. Here's in super slow motion, and it looks a little worse than it was. By the way, I got a text in the break from Davis Sanchez saying that was just a little chicken wing action. No penalty, good, no call by the officials. And I agree with him.
Only a penalty if he had been victimized on the play. So 17-7, Edmonton with the lead. And it's stand back. Across the 40, 45, across midfield. And that penalty helps the Alouettes enhance their field position. Antonio Pipkin back to work. Let's go to the sidelines. Fire and Lalji.
Chris, this is not the first time Antonio Pipkin and Johnny Manziel have been together in a football setting. Last spring, 2017, when Pipkin was getting ready for the draft and Manziel was working on his first comeback, the two got together in San Diego and trained under famed quarterback guru George Whitfield. Also part of that training group were Eskimo receivers Brandon Zylstra and Brian Mitchell. They trained together and really worked on how they could fix each other's problems and really wound up tweaking each other's techniques as well, and were good feedback for one another when they got into this setting. One of the things that Pipkin said was that Manziel is not the person that many people believe him to be. They say that he's actually a lot more humble than you think, and he also knows that this is going to be Manziel's team. There's not much he can do about it at this stage, so he's just got to control what he can control. In fact, we had to explain to him what the term Wally Pip meant because he doesn't think he can Pipkin Manziel.
Yeah, we were having some fun with him and suggesting if he played great, maybe it'd be Wally Pip all over again. And we had to tell him who Wally Pip was.
Well, yeah, but you know
who Luke Gehrig was.
And hey, Johnny Manziel took a real positive step in Game 2 against Ottawa. Big time.
Here's Sutton inside, but it was fun talking with Pipkin. He's over. Well, I guess a typical quarterback. Not many quarterbacks that you don't talk to and don't come away impressed by their leadership qualities. A humble guy, but a guy who had some confidence that he could make an impact on this game.
Well, I like the zip he's put on the ball. He's shown some pocket composure when that pocket is collapsed around him. What a nice deep ball to Eugene Lewis.
6 for 7, 87 yards so far. Second down. Back pedals, throws the crosser, caught. B.J. Cunningham inside the 5, stretching out to the goal line, and you're going to mark him at the 1. That'll be under review too. Looked like the knee came down just prior to breaking the plane.
But how about the throw from Pipkin as he's retreating? Blitz coming down the middle. And he retreats, puts it right on the money to B.J. Cunningham on that crossing route. Now, did he get down before the ball crossed the plane? Let's take a look. Hands okay, knee down. Tough to tell from that angle, but they are reviewing it.
Josh Woodman looks like he has saved a touchdown if this holds up under review.
That hand doesn't count. The knee does. The right knee does. I'm not sure he did cross. But tough to tell unless you're right down the line.
As marked, it's a 21-yard pickup for Cunningham.
But how about that throw? Coverage. So you need confidence. And you mentioned Pipkin with
the previous play was reviewed. The ruling on the field is remains at the 1-yard line. First down.
Down at the 1 by contact. But you need confidence. You saw the great coverage that was in place.
Boy, Eric Grimes, one of the best.
Yeah.
Right in the neighborhood.
And he's retreating and puts it right on the money.
Pipkin straight ahead. Touchdown now behind Christian Matt. And the Alouettes have their second major of this first half.
Well, they still have to figure out at halftime how they're going to try and get some stops on Mike Riley. But you're saying there's a chance if you're a Montreal fan right now, because Montreal's goal when you're a struggling team on the road against a good team, which is a scenario we're in tonight, keep it within 1 possession, get to deep into the 4th quarter. Maybe the team that's supposed to win grips the stick a little tighter, and you could steal one. And that's what Pipkin's doing right now.
First CFL touchdown for Antonio Pipkin. Boris Beatty adds the convert. Another short field touchdown for Montreal. 4 plays, 41 yards. And Pipkin hits pay dirt to get the Alouettes within 3. Well, Antonio Pipkin trying to make the most of his opportunity. And has a souvenir to take home. 6 for 7, 98 yards so far.
Doesn't seem to be fazed by the surroundings. Hostile territory.
See what Chris Edwards can produce on this kick return up around the 29-yard line.
I'm going to show you that throw again. They got him down to the 1-yard line. That throw to B.J. Cunningham, and watch the pressure. Here's Pipkin in the back. Now he's going in the shotgun here. Go ahead and run it, guys. Watch the pressure coming. Now right about here for a quarterback in his first start, he feels Boateng off the edge. He's throwing it into row 7. He's saying, no, we're going to bail on this play. Not Pipkin, not under pressure. He fades away from it, keeps retreating from it, and threads one into B.J. Cunningham with Aaron Grimes right there in coverage. It's impressive.
Had a brief outing against Hamilton last year, was 2 for 9, 14 yards. Different story here tonight. Now the veteran quarterback goes to work. Throws the out. It's caught. It's a first down. And it's brought down by Kenny Stafford. Stafford's first catch. Mentioned he is 7th in the league coming in to action in week 10.
Mike Riley going with a little tempo here.
6 receivers. They swing it to Cooper. He'll cut back into traffic, but finds a lane and a first down to midfield.
Somehow he's got that great speed, but low pad level altogether. Sometimes with back, when he gets the ball in his hands and he drops his pad level, it slows him down a little bit. It doesn't look like with Shaq Cooper that happens. Watch him get his pad level down here as he feels contact coming, but he still has that great downfield speed.
And with that play, 14 yards to Cooper. Mike Riley over 200 here in the first half. And throwing again. Complete to Bryant Mitchell, who's been his favorite target. Wrestled out of bounds by T.J. Heath. Mitchell feeling it. Got 11 more.
Go ahead, Bryant Mitchell keeps contributing and trending in this direction. And you add him to Duke Williams, Darrell Walker, and Kenny Stafford. Wow.
Good group. 94 yards in the first half for Bryant Mitchell. First down. Quick hitter. Dozier with the stop. Another catch for Mitchell, and his quarterback was excited to see him back in the lineup tonight.
It's a guy that has great skill and has got bits and pieces of opportunities to play for us in the past and has done really well with it, but just has been kind of unlucky in terms of injuries and when they've happened. You never know when your time's going to come, and he's getting that opportunity again. So there's nobody that understands the importance of those opportunities more than Bryant, because he's had to wait a long time.
Taking advantage of it, hasn't he?
6 starts last year.
Cooper, second down, and a run for a fresh set of downs to the 31-yard line.
Made that play with his eyes. What I mean by that is he didn't take the ball and just start dancing with it. He saw that the O-line up front got such a good push, he just hit it. Just played that one and ran that ball with his eyes.
First down, Alouette 31. Fake to Cooper. And the quick hitter to Ajay, who has a catch. That's the 7th different receiver for the Eskimos here in the first half.
Taking advantage of the solid running game by Shaq Cooper. And Riley goes right to play action. When the linebackers step up to try and stop 25, he throws it right behind him.
Mike Riley, 18 of 19 in this opening half. He said yesterday, I played like crap last week in the second half. I don't think that's the way we would describe this first half tonight against the Alouettes. He's playing like an MOB.
Yeah, last week he was 26 of 41. He threw for over 300 yards last week, but wasn't a good second half. Had a couple of picks in that game as well. Got BC back in it. Edmonton had a 10-point lead in that one.
Just 3 second half points in that game. Riley dancing, and he gets hauled down. Mwamba on the scene and drops Mike Riley for a loss. So a sack for Mwamba, his second of the year.
Late penalty there. Real late.
And penalties an issue for Montreal in this first half.
Objectional conduct. Montreal, number 97. 10-yard penalty. Remains second down.
So Woody Barron tossing the ball down and or up. And that's a costly call against the Alouettes. And there's been a few of those in this first half. Look out. Gonna try and make up for it there with a takedown of Riley.
Yeah, that's what you do. That's what you do. And because it hit a member of the opposing team, that penalty had to be called, even though if you're a Montreal fan and you feel that was so subtle, but that had to be called because it hit the opponent. I mean, bad decision, but he made up for it with a big play.
Except there's another flag on the play down around the goal line, which likely is in that illegal contact region.
After the play, objectional conduct. Montreal, number 3. It's a 10-yard penalty and will result in a first down.
Well, Jason Moss addressed discipline issues with the Eskimos last week, and it looks like Mike Sherman's going to have to do likewise after this game.
Absolutely. I mean, you just cannot afford. You're in a football game, 3-point game, and you're taking objectionable conduct after the whistle penalties against Mike Riley in this offense. Come on now.
Giving them a fresh set of downs in the red zone. A fake to Cooper, and he's going to get dropped again. This time it's Ryan Brown with Woody Barron. And that's 3 straight sacks for that Alouette front against an Eskimo offensive line that doesn't often give up sacks. But it became an issue for Edmonton against BC last weekend. On this series, it's becoming an issue again. 3-minute warning here in Edmonton.
Back in the studio getting set for halftime. Hey, Mike Riley's doing what he does, but how about Antonio Pipkin and the Owls staying in this game? We'll talk about whatever momentum they may have gotten from that failed onside kick and look ahead to Calgary and Saskatchewan Part 2 tomorrow. Back to Chris and Glenn.
Thanks, Rod. The Eskimos allowed 4 sacks in the first 5 games. They've allowed 11 now in the last 2.5 games. 4 here tonight. Setting up 2nd and 13. Here they come again. Riley hit. Jump ball and caught. Touchdown. And it's Bryant Mitchell's night.
Well, he wasn't the target there, but he went and got it.
Target, it looked like duck season.
Well,
it just opened.
Well, it was full blitz, and Riley threw it up, got hit as he was throwing it, and Brian Mitchell was nowhere near the target. He came from the opposite side. I mean, Riley wasn't even looking his way. It was Mwamba with the pressure. And, wow, Brian Mitchell came from a long way to get there.
Over 100 yards in the game here in the opening half for Brian Mitchell. Another touchdown pass from Riley. And it's a 10-point Edmonton lead. That won't be the prettiest pass for a touchdown on the Mike Riley highlight reel, but it works.
Yeah, they don't ask how many, just how or how many? I don't know. I got that. That's where the route was designed to, and Brian Mitchell comes all the way back and catches it over there. Watch the ground he covers to get there. Up the field, he's running that deep post, and then he sees it just see a target. Looked like it was either Duke Williams or Darrell Walker. One of the two was the intended target.
a strange way to cap an 11-play drive. They go 81 yards, and Ryan Mitchell is in flight. 6 catches, 111 in this first half.
One question for you. Why so serious?
Madman. So under 2.5 left in the first half.
But keep in mind, and this is what Mike Sherman's going to have to go and talk about at halftime, that these points are being set up, or at least allowed, the drive's allowed to continue because of these dumb penalties, these penalties after the fact. I mean, take a look at this one. I mean, that doesn't look like anything, but it hit an opponent, and that's a penalty against Woody Barron. That keeps the drive alive. Now you're up here in the corner, and you're Dominic Ellis. Play is over, and he says something. He either says something to Duke Williams that was inappropriate, or he says something to the official. Either way, he gets a penalty well after the whistle. Trying to plead his case, but it doesn't matter. Penalty flag's thrown, and it ends up in a touchdown for Edmonton.
Here's Pipkin throwing a fastball through the hands of B.J. Cunningham, incomplete. Quarterbacks tonight have only had 3 incompletions combined on 28 attempts. Mike Riley 19 for 20, and now Pipkin 6 for 8. A lot of talk about Pipkin's accuracy on the deep ball. Haven't really seen him air it out yet. Let's see if we get it before the half is done. No, they'll screen to Lavoie. Gets a block. Gets close to the first down. Contact from Nick Taylor right near the first down stick. Looks like it's going to be 3rd and 1.
Aston getting in there and help out on the tackle as well.
30 yard and a plunge ahead with a flag down. See if the Eskimos lined up, encroaching that 1-yard area.
Chris, when you take a look, though, I mean, the
offside, Edmonton, number 93. 5-yard penalty, first down, Montreal.
The biggest question mark for Montreal coming in this one was Antonio Pipkin, 7 of 9, 107. And has not been the issue for Mike Sherman. Dumb penalties, dumb decisions. That has been a problem the first half. And trying to get a stop on Mike Riley. Riley's now at 246 and counting.
6 different quarterbacks for Mike Sherman, who said he went 6 years with 1 quarterback in the NFL. Here's the long ball, airing it out, and it's dropped.
Oh, no.
Right through the hands of T.J. Graham. He dropped that one in the bucket, didn't he?
Well, there was that accuracy you talked about. And what B.J. Cunningham said he liked about Pipkin, that he throws a real pretty deep ball. I know that was Graham on the deep route that drops it. It was Cunningham who said this week that Pipkin throws such a nice deep ball. Can't wait to run under a couple of them. You can't throw it any better than Pipkin threw it there.
There's a guy that never would have dropped that. Jason Tucker, the receiver coach.
Wow.
Bumped into him earlier today. I said, can he throw the corner route? And he smiled. But I guess nobody throws it like Ricky Ray, but now he's going to throw this one away at the Alouette bench to avoid a sack. But he's looked pretty good in this first half.
He has.
He just
really
needs
has.
a guy like Jason Tucker to enhance the receiving core.
Well, T.J. Graham's got to make that play. I mean, T.J. Graham has got to make that play down the field. He scores on that play. That ball thrown absolutely perfectly from Pipkin and right through the bottom of the bucket.
Beatty to punt. Jamil Smith back. Standing at the Edmonton 10. This one on a hop. got a no yards penalty after the 41-yarder. Martin Bedard, the long snapper with the tackle. CFL on TSN wraps up Week 10 tomorrow. Live mic broadcast. Get inside the huddle with the Stamps and Rough Riders. Catch the action at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific across the TSN network. Riders coming off the bye. Same team they met at home a couple of weeks ago. So 1:38 to go. First down, Eskimos. This drive start at the Edmonton 24. Duke Williams the catch in front of Brandon Dozier. 6 catches for Williams, 6 for Bryant Mitchell here in the opening half.
And targeted that many times. So they, as many times as they've been targeted, 80 and 81, they've come up with those catches.
Now Kenny Stafford trying to get the edge. Got outside on Lincoln and out of bounds at the Montreal 48. You mentioned Mike Riley on pace for 500 after 1 quarter. He remains on pace for over 500 tonight.
Well, the only couple of times in this first half that I've seen Montreal disrupt Riley at all is when they've sent pressure and got after him a little bit. They sit back, he'll just pick them apart.
16 on that last play, first down. 5 receivers out. Wide side Williams makes the catch near midfield.
I mean, Riley's got some weapons, doesn't he? I mean, you take a look at the 3 receivers in the top 10 coming in this week. And when you look at those 3 receivers and their big numbers that they're accumulating, and then you add Bryant Mitchell to that mix, who's over 100 in this first half. Look out.
Second and short yardage. Another conversion. Darrell Walker the catch. And the Eskimos with another sustained drive here. And with just under a minute left. Down to the Montreal 42. Had 24 second quarter points at Percival Molson to break that game open. Pressure coming. Riley hit as he released, incomplete. Safety blitz from Dominique Ellis.
Yeah, this is it. This is how Montreal, they're going to have to just get on the edge and do this. This is Muamba, the middle linebacker, on a blitz. Aki coming on the blitz, and the safety Dominique Ellis. So 2 linebackers and the free safety putting pressure on Riley. That's the only way they're disrupting this offense. Not really the style for Stubler.
9 for 12 on second down. Conversion. Chip Cox with the block, and Aki, who had a pick 6 last week, unable to run under it, but it's a knockdown for Cox as they send pressure on back-to-back plays.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, one more time. There's Chip Cox off the edge. Aki at linebacker, again on the blitz as well. He almost runs under this tip. Now, you know Mike Riley and Jason Moss at halftime are going to go in and say, look, the only time we've struggled moving the ball is when they've sent the pressure from either the secondary or the linebackers. So what's the adjustments that need to be made in the second half to beat that blitz?
White lining up a 49-yard attempt, is hit from 52 this season. 9 for 10 beyond the 40. And this one up and good. Sean White extends the Eskimo lead with a 49-yarder.
Boy, Chris Aki really coming into his own in this Montreal defense against Trevor Harris. Had the interception for a touchdown. Cambridge, Ontario product, first-round pick back in 15, is really coming into his own. Came on that blitz with Chip Cox here. Almost got an interception here. He tracks it. Just can't quite get there. or it's a foot race to the end zone again for Aki.
Aki, one of the young guys who has shot for Montreal. Darius Bowman was telling us yesterday, though, he anticipated going to a team that has struggled as much as the Alouettes, that the room wouldn't be good, that there'd be, some strife in the room, but he said there's some super vets in there, guys like Chip Cox and John Bowman that have made a huge difference and have kept this team focused, and Cox playing well here tonight.
I might steal that. Super vets.
Super vets.
I like that. I like that term. They get it. Super vets that get it. Keep the team together. Bowman not dressed tonight, but he's a big part of this football team, whether he's on the field or not.
Ball. Well, they let that go out of bounds to get the penalty. Instead, Stanback tried to play it and gets no return back at the 23. And Ryder Stone, I think, is trying to school him on that play.
Yeah, just let him know that if it goes out of bounds, it is a penalty. But that he did play it was smart for him to tip it out, because if he tries to recover that, and it may end up in the playing field and turned over.
So if you're the Alouettes down by 13, do you just run the final 37, or do you see if Pipkin's got...
I bomb away and see. Field position may change that decision. They are deep in their own end. An interception could turn into a field goal attempt.
Now they go inside to Sutton first.
Chris, if they start this drive around the 35, 40-yard line, then take a shot, because even if it's intercepted, Riley probably doesn't have time for field goal range. But where they are now, I think Mike Sherman might stay conservative here and stay within reach of Edmonton going into that second half.
I'd add Bowman to the super vet category.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Tyrell Sutton, too.
Second and 5. Zone read. Pipkin going to take off with flags flying. Has a first down. Gets upended by Forrest Hightower.
Not sure who's going to get the penalty between Darius Bowman down here, Mercy Maston. Way away from this run from Pipkin on the opposite side of the field in front of Edmonton's bench. This went on.
A couple old teammates. Bowman got one last week on that kind of altercation. How are they going to sort this one out?
Well, it depends on what the officials saw. Sometimes they miss the first one and just see the retaliation.
Hey, Nick.
See if they offset.
Well, if they saw them both, then they should offset. In other words, Bowman with a shot there, that's a penalty for sure. And that is as well. And then the second one, though, may take it to another level here. Because both those players have now left in the hands of the officials, and they may throw them both out.
Wow. I mean, the 15 either way, offsetting would be obvious, but is that enough for an ejection?
Well, the only reason I say that, Chris, is because they're talking so long about this.
We have 2 major fouls of game disqualifications.
Wow.
Montreal, number 19. Edmonton, number 29. The penalties will be balanced at the previous line of scrimmage. It will remain second down.
So, the night over for Darius Bowman, not the homecoming he was anticipating. Mercy Maston as well. So, the Alouettes lose a key member of their receiving corps, but maybe as more importantly, the Eskimos lose the starting corner and are going to have to reshuffle the deck in that secondary.
Al Bradbury not putting up with any of the extra stuff. throws both players out of this game.
And
you see the shot
says it all.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised too. I mean,
offsetting.
There's no room for it, but is this that far?
Well, in this case,
beyond the level.
Yeah, in this case, though, Chris, I mean, you're really putting it in the hands of the officials, and if you're throwing punches, it can get to the disqualification stage, and now you've left it up to Al Bradbury's discretion, and we don't know what was said while they were punching each other as well.
But the Eskimos this week have really been drilled about discipline, so Maston will not be in the good graces of his head coach for that disqualification. Not that Bowman's going to get a pass either.
No.
So down over, and they're just going to run out the clock, and they've thought about it. Now they got, well, still time for one more play.
Darius Allen just got a sack.
Freebie.
He got a freebie sack, and he knew it because he hustled to it.
And as you were saying earlier, they don't ask how, they ask how many.
Thank you. He got it right.
And he got a sack on the second last play of that opening half. Some fireworks from Bowman and Maston, and from the quarterback of the Eskimos. 290 yards for Mike Riley. Let's check in with Rod Smith and the guys.
Thank you, Steve.
Beautiful Saturday night in Edmonton, 27-14. Eskimos lead heading to the second half. Farhan Lalji is with Antonio Pipkin.
Antonio, 7 for 11 in that first half. How would you describe your performance so far?
I think we clicked well early on. We got the ball moving. We had some penalties. I shot ourselves in the foot. We eliminate the penalties. We keep the ball rolling there and get back in this game.
We saw your deep throw on display down the sideline, and it was dropped. How frustrating is that when you're a young guy trying to gain some traction?
You win some, you lose some. I know I trust TJ. We made that throw and catch plenty of times in practice, so I know we get the opportunity again, we'll come back.
Thanks for this.
Appreciate it.
A lot to be concerned with for Mike Sherman in that first half, but I don't think the quarterback is on that list.
No, and what a great answer for a young quarterback to say, hey, TJ Graham and I have hooked up in practice on that throw a bunch of times. No big deal. We'll get back to it. That was a pretty pass.
Would have been a 47-yarder.
Would have put him over 150 in the first half just with that catch alone, which put him on pace for 300 in game one. We'll see what he does. He gets the ball first here in the second half.
Again, both times they had good field position off Eskimo kickoffs. They scored. And Ryder Stone trying to provide good field position. Comes out beyond the 35-yard line, so Pipkin back to work.
Yeah, I really don't think it's been his problem. I mean, talked about the penalties. They got to clean that up. This was a throw in the first quarter to Eugene Lewis, so he throws from the pocket, shows his composure. That's the crosser to B.J. Cunningham while getting pressured on the blitz. Scores off that down at the 1-yard line. And here's the pretty pass down the sideline to Graham that was flat out dropped, or it would have been another touchdown of about 47 yards. That would have put him over 150 in the first half. Didn't get it, so he's just over 100.
Looks like Forrest Hightower will move on to the corner for Edmonton, replace Mercy Maston out of the game, along with the Darius Bowman for that late first half altercation. Tyrell Sutton, the ball carrier, and he has a gain of 3.
And it means TJ Graham's going to see the field more for Darius Bowman at that wide receiver spot. TJ Graham is former third-round draft pick of the Buffalo Bills back in 2012. You'll see if he gets another shot at another deep ball.
2nd and 7. Take the draw play. Pipkin's got to scramble away. And Bazzi in pursuit. Can't bring him down. Sherritt there to nudge him out of bounds at the line of scrimmage. It'll be a 2-and-out to start the second half for Pipkin.
Number 47 eventually forces him out of bounds.
Great hustle by Alex Bazzi there just to force him out of room, basically, so he couldn't turn the corner and go get that first down.
Diversity is strength. The CFL program being highlighted this weekend. Alex Bazzi, a native of Liberia. And here's Jamil Smith. And Martin Bedard downfield in a hurry, along with William Stanback, who's been good on the teams as well. Look at those numbers first half. Mike Riley on pace for maybe his biggest night ever in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, he's on pace for over 500, and when you take a look at the 26 attempts, only missed on 3 of them for 290 yards and 3 touchdowns. And keep in mind, a few weeks ago when these two teams played, he threw 4. So he's now got 7 touchdown throws against this Montreal defense.
And he's 25 yards away from 25,000 in his CFL career. Passed the great Russ Jackson last week. Throwing here the hitch to Darrell Walker up to the 30-yard line and has 7.
I guarantee you he is prepared for a blitz package from Montreal defensively. If they send their safety, Dominic Ellis, if they send Chris Aki or Mwamba from the linebacking core, guarantee you Riley will have a plan.
Big defensive tackle Ryan Brown to the sidelines, and that opened up a hole for Shaq Cooper. A first down run for Edmonton. 10 more for Cooper, who had 42 in the first half.
Nice block. The point of attack was at the entire right side of that O-line.
First and 10 at the 40. Williams on the waggle. Cooper with a couple of cuts and another. Well, just 3 on the carry and almost a 10-yard gain. Boy, he is quick.
Wow. First of all, I love the first cut. I mean, he was almost making this first move as he was receiving the ball. That bounce cut to get outside of Mwamba.
7 yards a carry in the first half, and he's done better than that in his first 2 rushes of the second. Productive night already.
Really is when he's had the ball those 12 touches.
Now Mike Riley was sacked 4 times.
Right, that's what I want to see.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily on him, but you know that extra quarterback protector C.J. Gable is good in that area as anybody. Here's Riley, corner, Mitchell, knocked away. Chip Cox in the trail position, got there in the nick of time.
Well, this is how Chip Cox has made a living in the CFL. 34-year-old just will not quit on a play. He'll keep fighting for it. And I guarantee you, if Bryant Mitchell on this play did catch it, he'd try to rip it out of his hands before he hit the ground. That's how he creates all the turnovers he's created in his career. Never quits on a play, and he got his hand on that one.
219th game, only Calvillo, Scott Flory, Ben Cahoon have played more as an Alouette.
Here they come.
To call this offside off the fingertips of Stafford. You saw an early jump from that defensive line.
Offside. Montreal, number 11. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
And it was Chip Cox.
Flag against Chip Cox, make it 2nd and 5 for the Eskimos from the Montreal 53.
So the penalty takes the football into Alouette territory. 2nd and 5. Short drop, first read not available. Here comes trouble, but Riley gets out of it. Now there's Mike Riley doing what he does, the escapability of number 13 for a fresh set of downs.
I'm wondering what happened to Chris Aki, who was... This wasn't a full-out blitz from Montreal, but Aki, the linebacker, was up the field, almost in a contained position. He kind of lost sight of him, almost like, okay, the play is over, and then he tried to react. and stumbled trying to catch Riley from behind.
Eskimos have chalked up 23 first downs. And we're just 5 minutes into the third quarter. Fake to Cooper. Catch made by Walker. And Darrell Walker's got another first down. TJ Heath wrestles him to the turf.
Well, we have just about 10 minutes to go in the quarter. And Mike Riley's over 300 yards passing for the 30th time since 2016. And as you mentioned, Chris, could get to his personal best as an Eskimo.
5'11" is that total. He's 5'09" away from Conrad Holloway, at least coming into the night, to climb another rung on the all-time quarterback list. Stafford on the hitch. And he was able to fight his way from a loss into a gain. And it ends up being a 5-yard pickup to the Alouette 28.
Joe Rankin was there in time, but he took the wrong angle and let him get outside. He let Stafford outside here. I mean, the outside corner has got to turn the ball carrier back into where the pursuit is coming. See Dozier coming there to help? Well, if you let him outside now, you're just getting in the way of your teammate trying to help you with that tackle.
2nd and 5, Alex Dupuis is in. Helping block, Riley gonna take a shot. Duke Williams end zone. And Dozier there defensively.
Duke Williams, number 81, in on the coverage for the Alouettes on defense. Brandon Dozier, number 1.
There he is right here. He's going to end up getting thrown open to the corner because this was a straight seam route down the hash, and Riley sees inside coverage by Dozier, so throws it to the outside shoulder. Duke Williams makes the adjustment, but Dozier, off the play of Chip Cox a couple plays ago, just doesn't quit on it and gets the knockdown.
White looking for 3, trying to go 3 for 3. And it is 30-14 for the Eskimos. Midway through quarter number 3. Well, there's some loyal Alouette fans. Made the trip. They had a few buses head down to Ottawa last week. This is a little longer bus ride. Alouettes scrimmage their own 35 after the White field goal. Swing it out to Cunningham. And he takes a lick. It's 6. And a flag flies at the Eskimo pitch.
Late flag on the play.
That's going to be a target to the head.
It's a rookie Godfrey Onyeka.
Major foul, spearing. Edmonton, number 23. 15 yards at the end of the play, automatic first down.
Onyeka ducked his chin and led with the crown of his helmet, targeting the head of B.J. Cunningham, and that's a penalty.
Rookie from Laurier getting reps here in the second half. The adjustment for the ejection of Mercy Maston. So it's a net of 21. And it gets the Alouettes onto the Edmonton side of half. Here's Tyrell Sutton, right side room. Close to 10 more, and another flag comes down. And
it's an interesting draft, that 2012 draft. They've got some playmakers out there when you look at B.J. Cunningham and T.J. Graham in the passing game.
Looks like this one's coming back.
Holding, Montreal, number 89. 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Now it's T.J. Graham's had a rough night.
Yeah, he's got to bounce back because he can be a playmaker. I mean, remember that draft in 2012? That was the Andrew Luck draft, but that year B.J. Cunningham went, and when you take a look at the pick from T.J. Graham. Just behind that was Russell Wilson in the NFL draft. So guys that went high in the NFL draft in the 3rd round. Cunningham was a little bit later.
Big and a nice one by Pipkin, but unable to make the connection with Eugene Lewis.
He's had a couple of drops now. I want to count 4, including the deep one. And the receivers for Montreal, maybe not used to these fastballs. Some heat on the throws from Pipkin.
Nice play fake there. Looked like the Eskimos rallied to Tyrell Sutton on the fake inside. 2nd and 20. Fired to the sidelines, and he got it there. Wow, some heat on that. T.J. Graham with the catch. It's going to be short of the 1st down, but it'll get them back into Edmonton territory. Boy, he strong arms this, doesn't he?
Yeah, and this is a great catch because Graham is being distracted there and has to maintain his concentration in 2 ways. One, to make the catch, and the other to get his foot in bounds. And does he do that successfully? It looks like he does get that left foot in.
3rd and 5 from the Edmonton. Well, just inside the 50. Anything on it? Going to kick it away and try and get a pin. Jamil Smith will wisely let that one bounce in, and it will be a single point unless Jamil Smith, he had an idea, but it will be a single as he gets tossed out. Bo Banner made sure he wasn't going anywhere. 30-15. Prior to the game, a special ceremony at the Edmonton Eskimo Quarterback Club as 50 new Canadian citizens were welcomed to their new country. And the woman who sang the anthem prior to the game, a new Canadian from Zimbabwe, and all holding the flag during the anthem celebration. Diversity is strength.
Diversity makes us stronger. Inclusion. Outstanding ceremony that ties right in nicely with the last couple of weeks of Diversity is Strength initiative from the CFL.
Carry here from Calvin McCarty. There was another objectionable conduct penalty well after the kickoff, or after the Rouge against Montreal, as those penalty yards pile up. And so better field position again for the Eskimos. Their possession tonight: field goal, touchdown, punt, touchdown, touchdown, field goal, field goal. So they have scored on 6 of their first 7 drives tonight. 2nd down, Riley looks one way, then the other, and incomplete. Looking for Kenny Stafford. And it's a rare 2-and-out. First of the night.
Glenn Love, the backup linebacker, in there to get deep on that throw. Now we'll play special teams in the punt return game.
Love, a 7-year veteran, almost exclusively a special teamer in his 7th year out of UCLA. There's TJ Heath back to field this punt along with Dominique Ellis.
So just the 2nd drive ending in a punt, if it does. Looks like it will.
It is Heath from his 17. And up over the 26-yard line. Alouette football when we come back. And we'll have a special guest with Farhan Lalji here at Commonwealth.
For more than 30 years,
Fighting players from the past who have symbolized the diversity of strength theme for the Eskimos. One of the top players in Canadian Football League history, Johnny Bright, who suffered a broken jaw as a college player when targeted as one of the first black stars in the game on the Eskimo Wall of Fame. His daughter standing by with Farhan Lalji.
Candace, your father had such a decorated collegiate career in the United States, didn't necessarily get the opportunity at the pro level, but he did here. How much did he enjoy playing in the Canadian Football League?
He loves the Canadian Football League. I mean, not only playing with the Edmonton Eskimos, I'm not saying that because I'm standing here on the field. He was all about football. Everything was football. And I think with him, I mean, he played with some great players. I mean, he had them as teammates and off the field as great friends. For instance, Rolly Miles and Jackie Parker and Normie Kwong, Don Getty, Bob Dean, Art Walker. I mean, I could name them all.
Beyond football, though, he was really an icon in this community. I know after his passing, they named a school in his honor in the west side of Edmonton. He was a teacher and a principal. How much did working with young people and impacting the community mean to him?
Being a principal, well, he was my principal at Hillcrest Junior High, and he loved the students. That was his niche, you know, besides football. He got along with the parents. He had a great rapport with the students. He loved it.
Thanks for this. I know how proud you are.
I'm excited and I'm very happy. Thank you.
Well, an iconic figure in Canadian football, to be sure. Pipkin in trouble here, trying to get away, throws it away and wisely avoids the sack. Johnny Bright was the all-time leading rusher in the Canadian Football League until George Reed surpassed him, and then, of course, Mike Pringle. He was a Grey Cup hero, 172 yards in the 56 Grey Cup game against the Alouettes.
Well, and Chris, just one of those guys again that, you know, come up from the States, and so many do here in the Canadian Football League, and make Canada their home. And you saw the parks named after him. Reminds me of George Reed in Saskatchewan, did the same thing. Become Canadian citizens. And
Johnny Bright, number 19 on CFL's top 50 list of all-time Canadian football leaguers. 43-yard punt. Jamil Smith brought down around the 36. We've got 3:31 remaining here in the third quarter. The banners of the legends, including Johnny Bright.
I run right to him. He on the ground smiling just like that.
Well, we're trying to protect ourselves.
I understand. We're trying to protect all players too. And I'm about to go this way, and you ran right into me. I'm like, damn, bro, my fault, bro.
From mic'd up players to behind the scenes action, CFL Wired. Catch it Tuesday, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, across the TSN network. Mike Riley, a 15-point lead, 3 passing yards away from 25,000. He's got an open target in the flat, so the odometer clicks over 25 grand with a pass to number 25, Shaq Cooper.
Boy, it's fun to watch quarterbacks that are on top of their game. We saw a good example of it last night with Trevor Harris in Winnipeg. Put together a real good game for Harris. That's back-to-back good games for him. Mike Riley, well over 300 here tonight already and counting.
Second and short, and Cooper falls forward across the 45. Might be a little short of the first down. Looks like it could be third and less than a yard. In fact, it might be third and a full yard.
Eskimos need a yard for the first down.
You mentioned their success rate in these situations. Haven't missed one. They're now 10 for 10 on the season.
And Riley, good surge in behind big Justin Sorensen, David Beard.
Well, they're so big. I mean, that's one of the reasons. I mean, all offensive linemen are big guys, but this is a particularly big group. When you take a look at across the board, that front five, the offensive line for Edmonton.
That five.
They should be good in short yardage. Just falling forward, they're going to push you back 2-3 yards.
We kind of thought, based on their height, they should be good at, well, maybe basketball as well as football. Cooper's trying to get outside here, and he'll run out after a gain of 1. In fact, we were spitballing that maybe they're ready to take on the Golden State Warriors. Only because of the height. Only because of the height.
Well, I think they average about an inch taller than the Warriors, so you got something there. And then you look at the weight, the combined weight, they're a quarter of a ton heavier than the Golden State Warriors.
So they do have one big advantage. Matt O'Donnell, of course, had a tryout with the Boston Celtics, the 6'11" left tackle. Not sure maybe a free play here on an offside. Riley going to take off. Riley going to run and a feet first slide for first down, and we got a flag we'll sort out. Looks like an offside that will be declined. Three touchdown passes for Riley, 19 on the year. He has run for 7 more.
I like the chances of those old linemen blocking out for rebounds. I like the rebound matchup.
Well, this looks like it's going against Edmonton.
Offside penalties.
Okay.
Edmonton and Montreal will replay this down. Second down.
Be down over again.
Somehow I don't think Steph Curry is going to lose any sleep over a head-to-head matchup with this group.
I'm just trying to find an edge for the football guys, but yeah, I don't like their chances, to be honest with you. No matter how tall or big they are.
2nd and 7 all over again. Taking it right down to 1 before the handoff, and Cooper with a run for a first down. They convert on 2nd and 7. Well, we asked the quarterback how he thought his big old lineman would do head-to-head with Golden State.
I mean, we would get our heads rained down with 3-pointers. Who wouldn't be able to play perimeter defense at all? So they'd just be out there jacking up threes, but you know, at the same time, I feel like we'd kill them in the post. So again, you know, it's one of those things where you know, you're going to get 2 every time, but they're going to get 3. So you're going to slowly lose that battle. I don't think that we would stand much of a chance, but we might just hurt them all too. We might be able to injure a few of them early, and then we'd be able to hold our own.
There's Darrell Walker with the catch. Good protection from the big boys. And Walker with the catch in the final play of the 3rd quarter to get Edmonton back in the red zone once again. Well, they'll stick to football, and they'll take a 15-point lead to the 4th quarter. 30-15 Edmonton after 3 here at Commonwealth Stadium. Mike Riley had 415 and 4 touchdown passes in the first meeting against Montreal. Looks like he's on pace to better that tonight.
Well, hey, you know, with the Montreal Alouettes coming into Edmonton here tonight, to pull off the upset with a quarterback in his very first start, and Antonio Pipkin, they were going to have to get a great performance from their defense and maybe even score on defense. And Mike Riley is saying, not on his watch. I mean, he's on pace for his best game of the season and maybe best in his career. So they got to get a stop. They got to figure it out, and they got to do it now.
And the Alouettes haven't been able to get him off the field either. 56 offensive plays and counting here as the Eskimos will start the 4th quarter in the red zone. 3 for 3 tonight. Williams in motion along with Bryant Mitchell. A fake to Calvin McCarty, and here is Jamil Smith with a little scat back. He gets tossed down by Brandon Dozier.
Nice balanced attack from Jason Moss, and the play calling helped Mike Riley out. He's now 29 of 35 with that swing pass to Smith, but Cooper also closing in on 100 yards rushing.
Smith was 6, 2nd and 4. 6th time that the Alouettes have been torched for at least 300 passing yards in a game. And there's Cooper, and look at Mwamba fill the hole and take him down. So they get a stop and force Sean White and the field goal unit to come on.
And Mwamba inside out, and like Chip Cox just turned Cooper back inside, had containment.
And that's tackle number 10 on the night for number 10, who comes in 3rd in the league with 46. So he's enhanced his totals. Sean White adds another. And it's an 18-point Edmonton lead early 4th quarter. But Enoch Mwamba limits the damage with that tackle on 2nd and medium.
Preseason on TSN.
Back in Edmonton, where the Eskimos have an 18-point lead, trying to win their 6th of the year. Mentioned Antonio Pipkin, the 5th different starter in 6 weeks for Montreal. He's got B.J. Cunningham over the middle, and Cunningham up near midfield. So a gain of at least 18 on that play from Pipkin to Cunningham.
You know, a passing grade for Pipkin, no matter how this ends up. I mean, I know the numbers aren't going to jump off the page, but I think he's played pretty well in hostile territory tonight.
And another completion there as Pipkin has Ernest Jackson for the first time.
Keep in mind, Chris, as you know, this is a team that is searching for the next guy. And
well, they've looked around, haven't they?
Yeah, and maybe it's this guy. You know, maybe it's that guy. But I have been real impressed with Antonio Pipkin tonight.
Last time a team had 5 different starters in 6 weeks, Hamilton in '96. And there were some names in that group. How about Matt Dunnigan, Anthony Calvillo, Mike Kerrigan, Larry Justanis, and Marvin Graves.
Yeah.
So a few Hall of Famers. I'm not sure the Alouettes have a few Hall of Famers, but Pipkin trying to get remembered here with a great run up the middle, showing you his rushing ability.
Well, a little bit of his athleticism here on display. Let's take a look where the lane opens up right between guard and tackle. J.C. Sherrick just digging to get back into this play and realizes the speed of Pipkin. 23-yard gain.
Oh. And that one short hops the intended target, George Johnson. But, 2nd and 10.
Again, if you're just joining us, here's a young quarterback. Again, his numbers aren't going to jump off the page. He's at 157 passing and now 23 yards rushing. But, you know, here's a guy that 2 weeks ago was working out in the gym in Indiana. You know, and he was with the Alouettes in camp. He was with the Alouettes at the end of last year. So he does know the system a little bit. He's not a complete raw rookie right off the street, but not a lot of prep time.
2nd and 10, pressure on. Gets away to throw incomplete. Was able to get that ball with a chance to the receiver.
Well, it was there. I mean, he's getting thrown to the turf and retreating, and ball was out there, too.
Yeah, George Johnson can't hang on. I thought he was just throwing the ball away, but he actually had a target in mind, and it could have been caught.
I mean, it was short of the first down, but again, that's 4, maybe 5 drop passes. So whether it's Johnny Manziel or Antonio Pipkin, the receiver's got to pick it up a notch. And Ernest Jackson, we haven't even talked about tonight.
Beatty for 3. And it's 33-21. So gets a little closer. Stephen King, J.J. Apron bring you summer's most terrifying series, Castle Rock, Wednesdays at 10 Eastern, only on Space. And it's only 33-18, not 33-21. You only get 3 for the field goal, right? Oh, yeah. Double it up. So Eskimo fans still enjoying a 15-point lead. Looks like one of the sections to be in tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So standing room, I see a bunch of tall boys along the rail there.
Mike Riley back to work, and Bo Banner will help bring him down. Bo Banner from Central Washington probably had this game circled against the all-time great quarterback from Central Washington, Mike Riley.
Quarterback that threw for over 12,000 yards and 118 touchdowns at Central Washington. And watch Riley at the end of this one get his head kind of wrenched back. Looks like he's okay.
Aki in to finish the play, 2nd and 10. Pressure off the edge, and it's intercepted. What a catch by Brandon Dozier. A big hit on the quarterback as well, as pressure was coming from the Alouettes, and it's an interception for Montreal, and they can get right back in the football game here.
You know, I'm a little surprised I haven't seen more blitz, but this time it's Chip Cox off the edge. Here he is, number 11 down the bottom of your screen. He's the guy who gets to Riley, puts the pressure on him, puts the hit on him. That changes the timing of the throw. Dozier jumps it because he knows he doesn't have a chance to pump fake it and go to a double move. And he does make a strong-handed catch.
Boy, the receivers have had trouble tonight for the Alouettes, but Dozier makes a terrific grab, a takeaway that gives the Alouettes the football at the Edmonton 45. And a quick throw to Cunningham, wrestled and tossed down by Aaron Grimes at the 36, close to 9. Well, there's time left, and the touchdown here could give Montreal a big boost of confidence and maybe put a seed of doubt in the minds of the Eskimos. Ball spotted back at the 36. They're going to call it 2nd and 2. Fake to Sutton, slant, incomplete. TJ Graham can't make the catch. And it'll be 3rd and 2. The offense likely to stay on the field.
Well, of the drops, that's probably the toughest one that the Als receivers had to make, and TJ Graham on that slant route, a little bit behind him, and he had coverage on his back. So that was probably the toughest of the drops. But again, don't give him an alibi. Both hands on it, right through the mitts. I mean, he's got to make that catch, and that moves the chains. Now they're in a 3rd and short.
With Lavoie and Sutton in the backfield. 3rd and 2. Sutton not going to get there. Ball came loose, so it's still alive for B.J. Cunningham. He's not going to get there. Dropped by J.C. Sherritt. It's a turnover on downs, and Tyrell Sutton injured on the play. So the Alouettes turn it right back over on downs after the interception by Dozier. Well, it's looking more serious than first thought. Medical staff from both teams out to check on Tyrell Sutton, and the players have all taken a knee with concern.
Boy, J.C. Sherrod was the reason that the play was made by Edmonton. Just watch him find his way to this hole and disrupt the play and force Tyrell Sutton to try and bounce it. He just kind of has such a nose for the football. He gets there, twists the leg around. I think Sutton was probably injured at that point. And we're looking at his leg down there. I don't want to speculate on the injury, but he was down when he hit the ground. I mean, injured when he hit the ground, not afterwards. So,
man, a cart coming out and in obvious pain. 7-year veteran, a rushing champ in the Canadian Football League.
Looking at that leg.
Another guy in that super vet category that Darius Bowman was talking about. Man, a scene you never like to see. Mike Sherman's had more than his share of welcome to the Canadian Football League moments here. We've talked about all the quarterbacks that he's had to run through so far in the first half of the season, and now a star running back goes down.
Well, I think that the amount of pain that Sutton was in was the reason for the concern with his teammates, because it wasn't a neck or back or head injury. So, but he was in considerable amount of pain, you could tell. So I think that's what kind of got the teammates kind of huddled around him quickly, and the Eskimos. It looks like he's gonna sit up, and they'll full examination, try and stabilize that leg.
A sign of respect. Both teams with well wishes. And so Tyrell Sutton headed to the room.
And knowing just the compete level that Tyrell Sutton has played with throughout his career, he's as frustrated and mad about the fact that he didn't get the extra yard that he is about the fact that he's injured and on his way to the locker room. But
averaging 13 touches a game this year, 10 in this one. 9 carries, limited to 31 yards.
Great pro.
Yeah, one of the club of Canadian Football League running backs over 30. You don't often see that, but most of the top running backs in this league are in their early 30s. Turnover, and Edmonton's got the ball. Play fake, and away goes Kenny Stafford into Alouette territory, down to the 46-yard line. 23 more for Edmonton's offense and Mike Riley's passing stats.
And those plays against the Montreal defense, Chris, as you mentioned, just keep adding up. I mean, what was it, 80? Over 80 and
81 last week. They were on the field for 56 plays through 3 quarters. Riley underneath, catch made, and a quick turn by Bryant Mitchell, who's had quite a night. That's his 7th catch. And as mentioned, he's extended the Eskimo receiving streak to 9 games in a row with at least one 100-yard receiver.
Yeah, and we should say that, you know, being out there and for all those plays defensively is not just the responsibility of the Alouette offense to stay on the field. It's also on the defense for Montreal to get themselves off it.
Riley swings it over to Natea Jay. They're over 400 yards passing tonight. So Mike Riley, for the 7th time in his career and 2nd time this year against Montreal, has gone over 400 passing.
Boy, and he's got 2 receivers on the brink of 100. Mitchell already over there. So you play against teams that are struggling, you start to kind of creeps in. You try to block it out, but you think, can I pad my stats tonight?
Well, he's now back on pace for a 6,000-yard season. But look at this, Shaq Cooper, corner. Does he reach in there? He thinks he did. Reach for the cone. And let's see. Stepped out. They'll take a look at it. Cooper celebrating what he thinks is his 2nd touchdown.
Fantasy players across the league right now are hoping this is in. Get the extra points because they got a inexpensive running back if they pick Cooper.
Now, does he scrape the cone with that switch of hands right there? I think that's a touchdown. Unless his foot was out before he hit the cone.
By the way, our producer, Chris Edwards, is one of those guys that took an inexpensive Cooper in his fantasy picks for this one tonight. And
touchdown.
He is trying to talk CFL Command into counting this one.
He'll have all the replays. So does he make contact before the other foot's out? I think he did. 22-yard run.
Okay, so that left foot is in. The other one hasn't touched. The ball touches the cone.
Pretty slick play.
Well, he's put on a show tonight.
Shout out to the crib, man. Hey, rest in peace, Grandma. Rest in peace, Cole. Rest in peace, Bill. Love y'all, man. Coconut Grove,
95 yards.
man. I know what it is.
As you mentioned, CJ Gable shouldn't be out long.
My guys back home, man.
But nothing.
Free the whole game, man.
Nothing pushes a veteran more than a good player behind him. Let's take another look. This apparently CFL control may take some fantasy points away from our producer here. Let's take another look. Well, that view's blocked
there.
But they're
not sure what view they don't like.
Well, they're wondering, I think, is if this ball was fumbled. Did he lose control of the ball before it went across the goal line? Or
after review by the command center,
the
runner with the ball lost control of the ball just before getting to goal. He fumbled the ball into goal. Therefore, by rule, it comes back to where he last had possession of it in the field of play. The ball's being placed at the 1-yard line. Edmonton's ball, first down.
So I thought he had controlled the left hand and brushed the cone, but indeed he dropped it, but being last to touch it, it's still Edmonton football. So they'll call it a 21-yard run. And it's first and goal at the 1. And CJ Gable all smiles in behind head coach Jason Moss. Now this is usually Mike Riley territory. And it's going to be again 8th touchdown of the year for Mike Riley. He doesn't hand it to Gable, and he's not handing it off to Cooper when it's 1 yard out.
which guy did he follow this time? That right side again. David Beard and Colin Kelly. Those are the little ones. Those are the little guys up front at 6'5".
So the Alouettes turn it over on downs, and Mike Riley marches it right down the field to erase any doubt about this game. Alouettes were in scoring position, a chance to get it to a one-score game. But instead, Edmonton marches back, and they hit 40 on the night and lead 40-18. Third time this year, Mike Riley's led his team to at least 40 points. 44 the first meeting against Montreal, 41 in the first meeting against BC. He might have broken his nose to get that last touchdown.
Was he just saying, cut me, man, go ahead, cut me? That was from Rocky. I just dated myself. That was the first Rocky.
Well, he has feasted off the Alouettes. That's 2 pretty good nights of work.
Wow,
against the Alouettes this year.
That one interception to Dozier just a few plays ago, and then came right back out, put it in the end zone one more time. Over 400, closing in on a personal best this year. We got to straighten out his nose first, but Mike Riley, he'll be back. Although at this point, probably a good idea to keep him out. Yeah, just keep him out.
Williams stand back on the return, and he'll likely stay in as the running back here in the absence of Tyrell Sutton.
Well, not under these circumstances, but I have been interested to see Williams stand back get a chance to play some more offense, and just watching him on the return game, and he runs fearlessly first of all, but great combination of sheer power and speed.
5 carries, 56 yards in limited action. Pipkin's going to set up the screen here to stand back. Got a block. He's got a first down, and he'll rumble down into Eskimo territory, and a straight arm at the end of that, and flags fly as Godfrey Onyeka and Stanback collide, a 30-yard pickup.
Onyeka's just got to get his pad level down a little bit.
Foul, unnecessary roughness. Edmonton, number 23. 15 at the end of the play, automatic first down.
He's just got to get down a little bit, because that's the second penalty he's taken since replacing Mercy Maston for high tackles or high hits around the head and neck area. He's just got to get down lower. He's not had much playing time or experience, so he just got to get coached up a little bit.
Pipkin now approaching 200 yards, and B.J. Cunningham breaks a tackle, and Cunningham to the goal line, touchdown. Alouettes get one right back with just over 5 minutes remaining.
Got rocked at the end of that one.
Yeah, looks like he has been shaken up. Did he break the plane here? It's Onyeka again, and well, is he in or not? Looks like he lands right on the goal line, and
that's a better tackle. Get your head out of the way, Onyeka, and lead with that shoulder to the chest. Looks like he got in.
Timeout, Montreal.
Alouettes call a timeout because Cunningham's been shaken up. I wonder if they needed to. That play might still be under review.
Absolutely, and he didn't have the training staff come out to get him. He went off on his own, so he can come back in.
But that might be why the timeout was called by Mike Sherman. I guess there has been confirmation it's a touchdown, and now they'll go for 2. Try and make this a 14-point game. Pressure on. He gets away from Bazzi. He'll throw it back to the end zone, and it's intercepted And they'll bring down the Eskimo interceptor. I think that's Forrest Hightower that comes down with it. So it remains a 16-point Edmonton lead.
Now, did this come off the hands of a receiver again? It looked like it might be Eugene Lewis in the back. I thought it was 87, and did it go off his hands? I mean, he throws it back in there.
Yep.
That's pretty high. That's a tough one to bring down. I won't put that on Lewis, but he did get his hands on it.
So Antonio Pipkin, a touchdown pass in the game, 217 yards.
Well, that's the best output by a Montreal quarterback in the last 3 games.
Well, there's what Johnny Manziel did in his first 2 starts. We're not suggesting he's Wally Pipping him.
No, but hey, listen,
this is for him.
Yeah, good for him, and you know he showed a lot of good things tonight. Antonio Pipkin. Johnny Manziel, by all reports, is progressing in his concussion protocol, and I'm sure he's trying to get back as quickly as possible. Big positive step for him from game 1 to game 2. Really had a chance, and there was a couple of drops in that game against Ottawa too with when Manziel was in the game.
Montreal has Toronto next at home on Friday. Early indications we would see Manziel, and there's Jamil Smith cut down just across the 20-yard line. Let's go back to the sidelines. Here's Farhan.
Guys, it's going to be a busy week for Mike Riley, who has just 3 days to prepare for a game on Thursday in Hamilton. And in the midst of all of that, he's going to try to squeeze in the birth of his second daughter. His wife, Emily, has a C-section scheduled for Monday morning. And Riley hopes the Eskimos will change their practice that day to Monday afternoon so he can make it. He's also going to watch film on Sunday. And he says he makes no apologies for trying to make sure he can be at the birth, but not miss any prep time. He went through the exact same thing 2 years ago during the playoffs back in November. So he doesn't want that to change. One thing that will change, his wife says he's got to get rid of the beard. He's been growing it since training camp. It's got to go before the baby gets here. And he also pointed out one interesting fact. Of all the starting quarterbacks in the Canadian Football League, they've all got daughters except for Trevor Harris, who's got a son. Travis Lulay leads the way with 3 girls. This will now be Riley's second. Bo Levi Mitchell has a daughter. Matt Nichols has a couple of daughters as well. So Trevor Harris is kind of out of the club, but they all know what to do in terms of changing diapers and how to handle dealing with the house full of girls.
And my guess is he's going to lose the beard. I think
no question.
I think Mom's going to win on that one.
Keeping stats on all the daughters now. And offside for Montreal, another penalty, so they have to kick off again. Jamil Smith will get a little better field position, but pretty good cover downfield as Smith brings it back to the 27, and maybe that last touchdown keeps Mike Riley in the game to enhance his stats at 4:07 on the night.
Yeah, and I know you're watching thinking 4:38 seriously, but in the Canadian Football League, 2 scores is doable, and even when it's Montreal. So we've seen comebacks from down 24 points in a quarter and a half this season. So I think that you're bang on. I think Mike Riley would have been on the bench, not for that last Montreal touchdown.
Comes out throwing, and a drop here, and that's the first blemish on Bryant Mitchell's night.
Mike Riley looking for
big night for Mitchell. Another weapon added to the arsenal. And Cooper 6 yards away from 100. So
7 different receivers. Nate Bahar has not caught a pass tonight. 2nd and 10. Time to throw over the middle, and incomplete, intended for Duke Williams. Dozier in the area. It's a 2-and-out, and the Alouettes still have some life here. They get the ball back with almost 4 minutes to go.
Dozier's made a couple plays tonight. He had the interception. That was a nice knockdown. It gives him some hope, gives him a chance. Get the ball back here.
You know, Dozier plays all over the field for them as well, which is, he's played safety, corner. Sam linebacker.
Got 8 tackles tonight. He's got the interception. And I counted at least 2 knockdowns.
Which one, bit? Let's go TV inside land.
So Hugh O'Neill punts it away. That's TJ Heath, the 44-yard punt, and Heath will get dropped at the 47. Good downfield cover there from Tanner Green, rookie out of Concordia. Coverage of NFL preseason continues Monday. Ravens head-to-head against the Colts. You mentioned Tom Alessi.
He'll be on that curve.
Refereeing that game, or one of the officials. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific across the TSN network.
Let's go. You're wasting time.
Pipkin fakes the hit. She's going to go deep. Trying to connect with TJ Graham. Incomplete. Nick Taylor. Stride for stride.
Nick Taylor played that very well because he was in a position where he could draw the penalty flag for screening, but he turned at the right time and then kept on running right through the receiver to make it look like they're just both playing the ball here. TJ Graham can't tip it past him. Well played by Nick Taylor.
Graham just 1 catch so far. Here's one of the storylines of the game. Just 3 for 13 second down conversions. Boateng got quite a start there, and they will drop Pipkin. Alex Bazzi gets home, but Kwaku Boateng showed you his get off at the snap of the football as well. We've hit the 3-minute warning, and the Eskimos flex their muscles here on defense with a sack of Pipkin. Eskimos honoring 2 members of the Empire family here. Joey Moss also being honored as part of the Diversity is Strength. The iconic Joey Moss, who has been part of the Oilers and the Eskimos since the early 80s. One of the all-time greats, and Mike Riley found out about that when they stopped the game at Commonwealth a few years ago, just so the crowd could sing happy 50th birthday to the one and only. Boris Beatty punts it away as the Alouettes don't gamble on 3rd and 19. Jamil Smith will run out of real estate at the 41-yard line. Got a flag and a conversation going on at midfield. Not sure what that's about, but
yeah. And, you know, we'll sort that out. And, you know, Antonio Pipkin on that last series didn't manage the clock. I mean, he didn't know he's a young guy. This is his first start, all of that. But
major foul, blindside block, Edmonton, number 26, 15 yards, first down Edmonton.
He wasted, you know, 20, 25 seconds in there and then took a big sack. So really put the decision out of the hands of Mike Sherman. But can't take a sack in that situation so that you can gamble on 3rd down, but still a young guy and he's still learning, and still pretty good night against a very good and upset Edmonton team coming in tonight after their loss to BC.
He said a word. I didn't want to talk. And bombs too. Bombs that didn't even play.
Chris Edwards called for an illegal block on that last return, so the football back at the Edmonton 15 with just under 2.5 to go. Fake to Cooper. Calvin McCarty a catch. Another receiver in the arsenal.
I put Riley over his 415 best this year.
Calvin, the 8th different receiver. And it's a first down up at the 32. I'd like to welcome viewers joining us on TSN4 who have just watched the TFC San Jose MLS game. The late stages here, a couple of minutes to go, and a big hit on Shaq Cooper, 40-24. Edmonton with the lead on another big offensive night for Mike Riley.
Yeah, that's exactly, and that just keep checking the numbers because it is one of those kind of nights where you want to see if these guys can make some marks. It's 424 now for Riley, and Cooper in his first start, he's 2 or 3, maybe 4 yards away from a 100-yard game. So
it's Marines. It's go for
been a lot of numbers tonight, but well, Riley doesn't like it. He's going to call a timeout.
Timeout.
Fifth time this year, Montreal has surrendered over 500 yards, 528 net offensive yards for the Eskimos so far. And apparently they still have their foot on the gas pedal. And the next play suits will be the 70th offensive play for Edmonton tonight.
So you're at 150 in 2 games against the Montreal defense. That's 4 games.
It's too much. Second and 7. And the draw. Cooper won't get there. Stopped at the 41-yard line. Mwamba comes up with another tackle, and he just continues to add to his totals. He may have a dozen tackles on the night.
Just can't get off the field, this defense. And, you know, Pipkin played pretty well tonight, but they can't find that quarterback to sustain those 5-6 minute drives.
3rd and a yard, and the offense stays out.
Gonna tie this up in a bow and get this first down and then just grind it out.
Last sneak for Riley. He came up with a bloody nose, and we're not even sure if it wasn't broken. He was getting it checked on the sidelines. Now the Alouettes called timeout.
Boy, it's been quite the introduction for Mike Sherman. And it was interesting to hear him this week after all the injuries and then one more injury to his quarterbacks and Johnny Manziel, and going back to his head coaching history with the Green Bay Packers and working with Brett Favre and saying, you know, I guess things have changed because for all those years in Green Bay, I had one quarterback. And it was Brett Favre, pretty good one. And this year, I've had 6 start.
And we're only halfway in.
Yeah.
He's not a woe is me guy, though. He's Riley off the left side behind big Travis Bond, Justin Sorensen.
Well, and you know, he may be looking at Matthew Schultz here for this game, but he's kind of still nicked and not ready to start, so he's dressed but wasn't start. Drew Willie's on the 6th game. Johnny Manziel's week to week with the protocol, so it went to Pipkin, and Vernon Adams also injured, so kind of running out of choices. And based on the circumstances, again, Pipkin pretty good tonight. Gives him an option, and you're going to hope that Manziel's back next week.
Going to feed Cooper, but Chip Cox read the play and will drop him for a loss.
But Chris, they got to get better on defense as well. I mean, this is, we've talked at length about the Alouette quarterback dilemma and how good can Johnny Manziel be in this league. And we're still watching that progression and will throughout the season. But if this team doesn't get better on defense and their receivers make some of those catches that they have to with the game on the line, it's going to continue to struggle.
Discipline has been an issue too. 14 penalties, 129 yards. They were waiting on Cooper again. Meantime, the Eskimos about to post their 10th consecutive win over Montreal.
It has been a more composed Jason Moss, although they've had the lead for the majority of this game and had it under control. But I was impressed by it. I was. Jason Moss, I've admired Moss being himself and not changing. I mean, Jason Moss as a player was an emotional guy, and he is as a coach as well. And he didn't want to change, but he realized they had a penalty issue. We're most penalized team in the league coming in this week, and he said it starts with me, and I'm going to be better at that. I think to take that accountability is outstanding, and it trickles right through the team.
Hugh O'Neill outside the numbers to TJ Heath. Flag comes down as the clock ticks down to 0.
Overturned by the Alouettes.
And it looks like, well, we're going to have one more play or not.
No yards, Edmonton. Penalties decline. The game is over.
Alouettes decline, so the game is in the books. Mike Riley passing for 424 in a 40-24 Edmonton win. That gives them a 6-3 record halfway through. The Nissan Titan, player of the game, brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League.
Honorable mention to Bryant Mitchell. Had a big first half and 128 yards total receiving. But when you set a personal best of the season at 424 and 3 touchdowns, Mike Riley distributed the ball to all his weapons. Walker 82, Williams 72. Got 100 yards rushing out of Cooper, but Mike Riley, Nissan Titan player of the game.
Back on pace for over 6,000 yards this season, up to 19 touchdown passes on the year, so a touchdown pass in 11 consecutive games. Eskimos were heavy favorites, and they don't disappoint. They roll up 536 yards. Tomorrow, we'll be at Mosaic. It'll be the Stampeders putting their unbeaten record on the line. Eskimos with their 6th win. Again, the final 40-24. So long from Commonwealth Sports Center. Coming right up.